Welcome to Silent Secrets. Every man knows the pain of loss. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's years. Sometimes it's even his dignity. But more often than not, it isn't lost because he loved. It's lost because he loved without clarity. He loved without seeing the patterns, without recognizing the instincts, without noticing the hidden rules that quietly shape relationships. This is why so many breakups feel like ambushes. Why divorce feels less like a disagreement and more like a betrayal. Why countless men walk away from failed relationships shaking their heads, whispering to themselves, "What just happened?" But here's the truth. These events aren't random. They're not accidents. They are predictable, if you know what to look for. In today's video, I'm going to reveal 5 realities most men never recognize until it's too late. 5 truths that don't come from cynicism, but from psychology, biology, and the unspoken instincts that have shaped human relationships for centuries. If you can grasp these lessons, you'll stop being the man who feels blindsided, and instead become the man who sees 2 steps ahead. And most importantly, you'll gain the strength to protect not only your heart, but your time, your energy, and your self-respect. Stay with me until the end, because what you learn here could save you from mistakes that millions of men before you have already paid for. The illusion of fairness. Most men enter relationships with a belief that feels almost sacred. If I give love, loyalty, and effort, I will naturally receive the same in return. It sounds fair. It sounds logical. It feels comforting. But here's the problem. Fairness is not the system relationships operate on. Women are not villains for this. They're not wrong. They are simply guided by instincts thousands of years old. Instincts that prioritize security, stability, and the best possible future. Men tend to think in terms of equity. If I do X, I deserve Y. But women are not guided by emotional balance sheets. Their subconscious is evaluating. Does this man provide strength? Does he represent stability? Do I feel alive around him? This is why so many men get blindsided. They are looking for signs of fairness when what's really at play is strategy and instinct. If you don't understand this, if you cling to the illusion of fairness, you risk playing a game where the rules you believe in don't even exist. The solution isn't paranoia. It's awareness. Stop being hypnotized by words. Start paying attention to actions, to consistency, to patterns. Because when you see clearly, you stop being a pawn in someone else's game and become the player who sets the tone. Secret number 1. Monkey branching. Why breakups rarely happen in silence. 1. Of the most difficult truths for men to face is what's often called monkey branching. Picture a monkey in a tree. It never lets go of one branch until it has already grabbed another. Many women operate the same way in relationships. Rarely do they release one man without already having another waiting, whether emotionally, socially, or romantically. This doesn't mean every woman is calculating. Most aren't even conscious of it. It's instinctual. For thousands of years, survival depended on not being left alone and unprotected. That instinct lingers even in today's modern world. Here's how it often plays out. She says, "I need space." I'm confused. You think she's reflecting. You think she needs time. But more often than not, there's already someone in her orbit. Someone she's been talking to for weeks, maybe months, quietly waiting until the moment feels safe to make the jump. That's why so many men feel crushed by how fast it happens. You think there will be a period of grief, a time of reflection, but for her the transition is often immediate. One day she ends it with you, and the next she's smiling in someone else's arms. To you, it feels like a sudden earthquake. To her it was a carefully prepared step, and sometimes the story doesn't end there. Many women keep their ex on the line, through the classic, "Let's stay friends." Not because they want true friendship, but because you represent a safety net. If the new branch snaps, she knows she has a cushion to fall back on. The lesson here isn't bitterness, it's clarity. Never allow yourself to become someone's backup plan. When the branch is released, step back with dignity. Because if she ever comes back, it won't be out of devotion, it will be out of convenience. And you deserve far more than that. Secret number 2. Hypergamy. Why effort doesn't guarantee security. Since childhood, men are taught that hard work equals reward. You put in the hours, you sacrifice, you climb. Eventually, you succeed. Many men carry this mindset into relationships. If I love her, provide for her, fix her problems, raise her children, and sacrifice my needs, surely that creates loyalty. But here's the reality. Relationships don't work like an emotional bank account. There is no invisible ledger keeping track of your sacrifices. Hypergamy, the subconscious instinct to seek the best possible option, doesn't care how much you've deposited. If she perceives something better, whether in terms of lifestyle, emotional connection, or future potential, your years of effort may evaporate in a single heartbeat. This is why the men who bend over backwards often find themselves abandoned. They think loyalty is earned by sacrifice, but in truth, loyalty is sustained only if she still sees you as her best option. The way forward isn't resentment, it's self-investment. Stop being the banker trying to buy loyalty with endless deposits. Instead, become the man of value who commands loyalty through presence. Build yourself, not for her, but for you. Because when you are grounded in strength, confidence, and independence, you no longer need to bargain for respect. You embody it. Secret number 3, plate spinning. Why you may not be the only one. Men often assume exclusivity too early. They confuse attention with commitment. Here's the truth. Many women, especially in the early stages, keep multiple options quietly active. Some provide emotional comfort, others offer adventure, and others serve as backup. This doesn't make women bad. It makes them strategic. Society often judges women more harshly than men for openly dating multiple people, so many do it discreetly. But the behavior is common, and it comes from the same survival instinct. Never be left with nothing. I once heard of a man who noticed his girlfriend's contact list filled with names like Mark Lawyer or Chris Contractor. Each man wasn't just a person. He represented a role, a potential advantage. You may believe you're the only one. You may believe her when she says, "I'm not seeing anyone else." But unless there is explicit agreement and consistent action, you may simply be one plate spinning in rotation. The lesson is simple. Don't assume exclusivity. Pay attention to patterns. If her availability fluctuates, if her stories shift, if her behavior feels inconsistent, don't ignore it. The point isn't to accuse. The point is to avoid overinvesting in someone who hasn't made you her priority. Secret number 4, boredom. Why stability feels different to men and women. Men often think of stability as the goal. A house, a rhythm, a predictable routine. To a man, comfort feels like success, but for many women, that same comfort can become suffocating. Research shows that women initiate the majority of divorces, often over 70%. Why? Because their sense of passion fades much faster than men's once the honeymoon stage ends. A man may still feel satisfied years into a relationship, telling himself, "We're doing fine." But for her, the routine feels like a cage. That's when you hear the devastating phrase, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore." The danger here isn't that women are fickle. It's that men assume stability equals permanence. Too many men stop evolving after commitment. They stop growing, stop flirting, stop leading. They settle. But attraction doesn't live in comfort. It lives in growth, unpredictability, and vitality. The lesson is this. Don't stagnate. Keep building, keep learning, keep surprising her in the best ways. Not out of fear, but because growth is life. If you don't, she may eventually look elsewhere for the spark you stopped giving. Secret number 5, cheating. Why it's hidden, not rare. Society loves the story of the unfaithful man and the betrayed woman. But research paints a different picture. Women cheat nearly as often as men. The difference is that they hide it better. When men cheat, it's often sloppy. They get caught. When women cheat, it's usually discreet, calculated, and often during very specific windows. When they feel neglected, disconnected, or craving novelty. What makes this difficult for men to process is how invisible it can be. She may not act distant. She may not change her schedule. She may still say, "I love you." And yet she could be filling an emotional or physical void elsewhere. The worst mistake men make is telling themselves, "She's different. She'd never do that." Blind faith is not protection. It's denial. But here's the key. The answer isn't control. You cannot police loyalty. You cannot monitor someone into devotion. That only creates distance. The real answer is becoming the kind of man she doesn't want to risk losing. A man with purpose, direction, and presence. A man whose life is so full that leaving him would mean losing far more than she could ever gain. The final awakening. So let's recap the truths. Many women don't leave until another branch is ready. They don't measure loyalty by sacrifice. They measure it by perceived value. They often keep multiple plates spinning, quietly evaluating options. They get bored with routine faster than men, which is why many relationships fail. And yes, they cheat as much as men. But they hide it better. These are not accusations. They are patterns. And the problem isn't that women operate this way. The problem is that too many men refuse to see it. Men cling to illusions of fairness, reciprocity, and permanence, only to be crushed when reality doesn't match their fantasy. But here's the liberating truth. Awareness is freedom. When you understand the patterns, you stop living as a pawn. You stop asking, what just happened? And instead, you start shaping your own reality. An awake man isn't paranoid. He isn't bitter. He is clear. He doesn't cage his partner with suspicion. He strengthens himself with presence. He doesn't doubt women. He understands them. And with that understanding, he becomes the prize. He becomes the man who cannot be easily replaced. The man who commands loyalty not through control, but through the undeniable gravity of his character. So ask yourself this. Are you willing to let go of the illusions and finally see the game for what it is? Because once you do, you'll never go back. If you found value in this message, make sure you subscribe to Silent Secrets and join a community of men who are choosing awareness over illusion. Hit the like button to help this reach more people, and share it with someone who needs to hear these truths before it's too late. And I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 truths hit you the hardest? Drop a comment below with your story. It might be the wake-up call another man desperately needs. Remember, this isn't about fear. It's about freedom. The more men awaken to these realities, the stronger, wiser, and harder to manipulate we all become. Stay sharp. Stay aware. And as always, welcome to Silent Secrets.